Welcome to another week on the Jet Set. Coming into land on this week's show, Saeed Al Saeed is here to talk about the new travel safety initiative from Abu Dhabi.
And Ryan Owens is back to help unleash your inner yogi.
And we've got your travel news coming up. All of this and more is on approach. You're watching the Jet Set.
Welcome aboard. Are you ready to go? Bobby Laurie and Nikki Noya have your ticket to travel, food, fitness, and everything you need for an on-the-go lifestyle. It's time to Jet Set.
It's time to ride the waves of travel news on this week's edition of Here's This, powered by TravelPulse.com. Rome's International Airport has become the first airport in the world to earn the COVID-19 5-star airport rating from Skytrax, an international airport industry ratings body. Though Skytrax is best known for its annual rankings of the world's best airports, the global COVID-19 crisis prompted the organization to come up with a designation for airport hygiene. Now, according to a release from Skytrax, the organization based its rating on a combination of procedural efficiency checks, visual observation analysis, and ATP sampling tests. Rome's airport is also known as Leonardo da Vinci International Airport. That's a very much easier way of pronouncing how that airport's name is. And it is also the busiest airport in Italy. As of September 1st, the airport opened a 7,000 square foot COVID testing center, which is co-managed with the Italian Red Cross. But it's not only organized rapid testing that Skytrax noted in its review of the airport also scored points for having easy-to-read signage in multiple languages, strict enforcement of mask-wearing policies, and visibility present of the cleaning staff, making sure that everything is wiped down after people make their way through the airports.
They're doing so much to bring tourism back to Italy. They were hit so hard, and so I really commend them for taking all the necessary steps to bring back all of the millions of people, me included, who are just dying to go back to Italy. So that is amazing that they're doing that.
It is, and because the first thing you think of when you think of the coronavirus is Italy, because they were #1 on the news, and of course that and the cruise lines. I'm happy to see that they're taking steps to reassure everyone that it's safe to go back to Italy. And something that, I was in Amsterdam just before everyone locked down for 6 months. When we boarded the plane home, they didn't ask if we had been to Italy. They asked if we had been to China.
Yeah.
And then for a while there, Italy did take over in the news. But
so
I'm hoping.
Good job, Italy, and we'll be there soon.
Yeah, I can't wait to go. Now, this is unusual for me on Here's This, but Nikki, why don't you read the first sentence of this and you tell me how to pronounce all these words?
The Fernando De Noronha Archipelago off the coast of Brazil is one of the most beautiful destinations anywhere in the world.
Thanks, Nikki.
And now it's open to travelers again. Bobby, take it from here.
But with an unexpected catch, you can only go if you show that you have had COVID-19. Is that true? You can only go there if you've had it?
Interesting.
That is really interesting. Now, it is named the world's best beach by TripAdvisor's Traveler's Choice Awards this year, and everything will reopen according to authorities in the northeastern Brazilian state of
Pernambuco.
To land on the archipelago. See,
Maybe.
I'm learning things here on the Jet Set. The tourist will need to present the result of a positive test that is at least 20 days old, or the result of the serological test?
Serological test,
Yeah,
showing the presence
of antibodies against COVID.
Interesting.
That is blowing my mind right now.
This is a very interesting thing. And also it's like, every place has different rules, every place has different needs.
The fact, by the way, none of you can hear our producer laughing in our ear right now at this, but here's the quote from their news conference. During the news conference, they didn't really say why Brazil would only accept people that had already come down with coronavirus.
Because also, I believe you can get it multiple times.
They're saying, that's what they say.
That's the thing that is just so weird, is that the rules change every
day.
But
if you've had it multiple times, if you can get it multiple times, then just because you had it doesn't mean you're not going to get it again. So then why only take people who have tested positive?
Listen, this is I'm not really sure.
Okay. We'll be right back in 30 seconds with more of the Jet Set, because we are confused. It's time to once again put a new travel product to the test for this edition of Let's Try It. I'd like to introduce you to the Rollink. This particular design just launched in the past few months, and it is one of the first actual products on the market right now. There's only like a few of them that you can actually touch, Nikki.
Well, what does it do?
Touch it.
Have it?
It's very thin. You don't even know what it does yet. You want to have
don't.
Okay, anyway, regardless, this is a carry-on piece of luggage that suits all of your travel needs. It has an outer tough shell to aid in impact resistance and a spacious 40-liter capacity to pack all of your stuff inside. Now, the coolest part about it is when you're not using it, it compacts down to this really small size.
And then,
Nikki's gonna try. There's no real technology in here. It's just Velcro.
Then I can probably do it. If it's not technology, then I can do it.
So this Velcro's there.
Oh.
Got it?
Yep.
And then just like that,
nailed it.
You end up
I did do it.
opening up your luggage, which then of course has wheels and you can roll around just about anywhere.
I love it, and it's very light.
It is very light. Now see, that's actually one of the comments about this bag. Early reviews came in and some of them said that the bag was too heavy for them.
Well, I don't know what everyone else is carrying around, but it's actually really light.
I think it's very light too, and I also think it's also perfect if you're going on cruises when you can't go on cruises again, because you always come home with more stuff than you left with.
Always.
You can pack this in your larger suitcase.
This is where all the Nikki treats can go into.
With all the stuff you buy with your Nikki cash. Which, has anyone ever gotten their Nikki cash? Just wondering. No.
It's Nikki cash.
Okay, it's really. But yeah, I mean, I really think.
Well, also,
I think it's a great idea.
But also, like, think when you're in your cruise cabin or in your hotel and you can fold it up and it's not taking up a giant portion of your cabin or your room or anything. I like this very much.
All right. Well, as I said before, the Rollink is a new bag to the market and it retails for around $60. To get one of your own, you can visit thejetset.tv/shop and click Seen on the Show, unless you're Nikki and you could just steal mine.
I like this. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Rollink. Does that?
It makes noises when you roll it?
For me, it does.
Ryan Owens from Fitness Together is joining us after a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We all like to indulge a little bit when we're on vacation, and when you're traveling with kids, you try to make better and healthier food choices because trying to convince kids to eat healthy is always a little tricky. But one hotel chain is trying to encourage the rest of the industry to invest more in healthy options on children's menus.
New study released today shows that for 58% of parents, encouraging their children to eat healthily is the top challenge they face when on holiday. The global research, commissioned by Jamir Group, surveyed more than 5,500 parents of children aged under 12 years old. It showed that 22% of parents say their kids tend to eat much more unhealthily when on vacation. As a result, 42% of parents are calling for hotels and resorts to do more to provide healthy eating options for children while they're on holiday. Jamir Group's team of foodie experts, led by Chief Culinary Officer and former Michelin Guides Global Director Michael Ellis, have addressed the issue with a brand new child-friendly, healthy menu.
We decided to do some research to find out what our guests want from us when they're having a meal with their families. Over half of families find it a real challenge to have healthy meals when they're out with their children. 3/4 of the parents we talked to have actively asked hotels to improve the offerings for their children. There's a real opportunity to provide healthier, fun, and attractive meals to children. This will enhance the overall guest experience.
Some of my top tips for children to eat well while on holiday would be to give them the option. Children might choose one or two options that are super healthy and actually really enjoy them. The second tip I have for you is offer them items where they can be involved in preparing this meal. For example, a salad where they can mix in their own ingredients. When children are involved in mixing in their own sauces and avocados and etc., they're much more likely to actually go for it and eat it. And another tip I have is when it comes down to vegetables, offer vegetables with different flavors, shapes, or dips.
After a long day or great workout, a good stretch feels amazing. But are you doing it right? I must admit, I am not a stretcher. Playing volleyball, I was like, okay, a few windmills, I'm ready to go. But now that I'm hot 42, I realize the huge impact of stretching has on me. And luckily, I have my favorite trainer, Ryan Owens of Fitness Together Georgetown, here to break it down.
Breaking it down.
Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Okay, we've had this talk because before, you and I were both like, all right, and we are ready to play.
Yes.
But as we've matured and learned more, we realize how important stretching is. So what we're going to do here is we're going to fact versus fiction. Okay, so I have a few questions for you. Okay, you should only stretch when you are warmed up. Is that fact or fiction?
I said fiction to this one.
Yes.
And it is good always to stretch when you're warm because you can get a little bit more range of motion. So after a workout, it's a nice idea to do a stretch afterwards.
Yes.
But it's also not totally fiction because you don't always have to stretch when you're warm. So if you wanted to go home, let's say right now, and stretch, and you're not warm, that's fine too.
And just do like, sometimes, you know, we do like neck stretches. I don't have to be technically warmed up for that. So there are stretches to do just any time.
Correct.
But I do notice, like, at the beginning of our workouts, I cannot touch my toes. At the end of our workouts, I can touch my toes, so that range of motion is getting there now that we've started moving. Okay, you can't use any equipment like a wall or chair or bands when you're stretching. Fact or fiction?
I said fiction to this. It is helpful to have something to stretch with, a band or a yoga block or whatever, but a lot of people sometimes will be like, oh, well, I can't stretch unless I have these certain things, and that's fiction too. You know, you don't need anything to do a good stretch anywhere at any time.
There's no excuses.
No excuses.
You just got to do it.
Exactly.
You can't be like we used to do it, just roll out there. Okay, number 3, someone else should always stretch you. Fact or fiction?
Fiction. You definitely don't need someone to stretch you. Again, it's helpful to have someone stretch you for that range of motion. So like when we do it, I can hold your one leg down, kind of strap it in, and then get you a little bit more range on your hamstring or whatever.
Because I'm like, ow.
Right.
Ow.
But definitely not needed, not necessary.
Okay, this is an interesting one. There are different stretches for men versus women. Fact or fiction?
Yeah, I would say fiction. I think what's good for one is good for all kind of thing. However, from my experience, I've seen women tend to be more hypermobile, so they'll have joints that can pop out easier.
Whoa.
And sometimes they'll be like, oh man, I feel really tight, and that tightness is actually from them being really super mobile and not having enough stability or enough strength to help keep themselves feeling limber and loose. That makes sense.
Interesting. It totally does. Okay, this one is for me. Flexibility is fixed and it never changes no matter how hard you work at it.
Definitely fiction.
Totally fiction.
For sure, totally fiction.
Okay, this is how I know that, because you know how we start like sitting like this, and you're like this, and I'm like this.
Right.
And you're like, I started, and then I just worked at it. So if you work at stretching, right?
Yep.
You can increase your flexibility.
Any age too, doesn't matter.
How did you kind of, did you start where I am, like just, oh man, I'm not very flexible, and just worked at it?
I actually started with breathing. So when you start with your breathing and learn how to calm yourself down, especially when you're stretching, it's an easy way to get deeper into stretches and to help your range of motion just by doing that.
Ryan, I love when you're on the show. I always learn something new from you. Where can people find more information?
Yes, people can find me on Instagram at RyanOTrainer, or they can find us, our gym, at fitnesstogether.com/Central Georgetown.
What's a stretch we can do right here as we go into commercial break?
Lift your leg above your head. Come on.
Dude, that could never happen. I would fall over.
We've got to take a quick break, but we've got more of the Jet Set coming up. The Abu Dhabi Department of Culture and Tourism announced its Go Safe certification initiative in June, which is aimed at elevating and standardizing hygiene and cleanliness levels across tourism and retail establishments, and it's already been successfully rolled out at 146 of Abu Dhabi's hotels since its launch. Joining us today is Saeed Al Saeed, the Director of Marketing for Abu Dhabi's Department of Culture and Tourism. Hi there, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me. It's actually 166 now. 166, yes.
166, that's great. Now, before we get into everything tourists can enjoy when they visit Abu Dhabi, tell me more about the Go Safe certification and what it means.
So the Go Safe certificate is an initiative that we at the Department of Culture and Tourism in Abu Dhabi launched to basically set and standardize the procedures and the precautionary measures that we wanted our destination to have. So right off the top of my head, like I said, 166 hotels have been certified. 33 malls in the destination have been certified. We're now working to roll it out across every single touch point that a visitor may come across. And it really is a very comprehensive certificate, and the process to get one is quite rigorous. We have about 300 touch points for every establishment that need to fulfill the criteria that we've put in place according to the latest research and the latest mandates and the latest advice by all the the global health authorities, but also the Department of Health here in Abu Dhabi. I think where Abu Dhabi takes it a step further is testing, regular testing of every single customer-facing staff across the destination every 10 to 14 days. So it really is a very comprehensive program that just assures our residents, first and foremost for the time being, but in the future our visitors as well, that they are coming into a safe destination that puts their health and their safety above all else.
And how has the transition been to the new normal generally?
I think, following our government's response, which has been one of the best in the world. I mean, I just look at the news on a daily basis, especially now that we're looking at second waves coming into some countries and some parts of the world. Just from day one, since the beginning of the year, the Abu Dhabi government has taken this pandemic extremely seriously. We have conducted across the UAE more tests per capita than anywhere else in the world. So things are pretty much under control as we speak. And, the government has invested heavily in field hospitals, in drive-through testing facilities, in, again, like I said, the number of tests. We have home delivery tests now for the elderly and the immunocompromised residents of the Abu Dhabi population. So that has always been a direction that we follow. And from that seriousness that the government gave this pandemic, the people just followed naturally. We took it seriously. We stayed at home.
I really can't wait to visit and experience the culture and history. I've never been, although I was offered a job at Etihad a few years back. Speaking of, from the United States, the average flight to Abu Dhabi is about 13 hours with flights from New York, Chicago, and our home here in Washington, D.C., and there's also flights from Los Angeles. But I also noticed that on your website, you offer a lot of virtual events. Tell me more about those.
We noticed through the partners that we have, whether it's Google or Facebook, you name it, that people were spending more time on their phones than ever before. So people were hungry for content, and people were also hungry to travel especially after 3 to 4 months of staying at home. And we realized that these two opportunities came hand in hand, that, all right, you can't come to us, so let's bring Abu Dhabi to you. And we had already 360 virtual tours, but we went out and filmed most of the main destinations that we have within Abu Dhabi to put them up as virtual tours, so you can get a glimpse at least while you sit on the couch.
Where can we go to get more information on travel to Abu Dhabi and the Go Safe certification?
So you can definitely go to visitabudabi.ae and everything will be there. What I would say is a lot of people have certain misconceptions about Abu Dhabi because of the news of the region in general that we reside in. And I would like to reiterate that we are one of the safest destinations in the world, whether it comes to your own safety physically, but also now with your health requirements and that element is covered. But we also have a lot to see, and we're an open-minded people that wants to welcome everybody from around the world to show you what you've been missing out on.
Thank you so much for your time, Saeed.
My pleasure. Our collective pleasure. Thank you.
like to try and end the show with something that will make you smile. So this week we've got some of our favorite quarantine travel TikToks.
Quarantine?
Quarantine. Like Valentine. Quarantine? I don't even know what day it is. Okay, hold on.
Well, everyone, that says just how long Nikki's been locked away.
Yep.
Thanks for watching this week.
Bye, everyone. I'm still in quarantine. Help. Send help. Send me somewhere. Anywhere. I'll take it.